President Toto, to call this meeting to order.
On behalf of the Rotary Club of Makati, I'm calling this meeting to order.
Again, we are joined by our friends and fellow Rotarians online, so we also have a blended meeting this afternoon. For the invocation, can we call on President-elect Keith?
May I ask everybody please to stand? Will you now please bow your heads with me? Firstly, Lord, today may we make a special request that you hear our prayers for the full recovery of our club member, past President Peter Manzano, and his wife Pam, who have suffered serious injury in a car crash whilst holidaying in Canada. Knowing that Peter still remains in hospital in a critical condition, we pray with particular fervor for his complete recovery and safe return along with his family to the Philippines. Whilst making this particular prayer, let us also offer our thanks for our food and for those who prepared it, and blessings for one another. Let us be a source of hope for those in need and contentment for those who are lonely. Let us give gratitude for our opportunity to serve in Rotary. Let the feelings of love, kindness, and well-directed yet gentle spirit always be reflected in our actions. All this we pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, President Keith. May we continue to remain standing for the national anthem.
Witness a history in our lifetime as we bring back to life what a true Rotarian should be. Service above self, unity in diversity, and inclusivity, all for one and one for all. This is our chance. This is our time to rise up and be the example of what humanity can achieve. Together, let's create hope in the world. So let us sing with one voice the Philippine National Anthem.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, helas ng sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatak tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang bangaw, ay hinagang tula, kawin sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang patawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iibig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga amin, at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Now let's all sing the RC Makati hymn.
We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, prepared to aid our fellow men. As true Rotarians we live to lead. We believe in succeed. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, and together we stand proud. We are leaders with integrity, always ready to serve humanity, always living by the four-way test, building goodwill and peace along the way, giving hope to the world. We're the Rotary Club of Makati, giving hope to the world. The Rotary Club of Makati.
Okay, you may sit. But for now, for the four-way test for the Rotarians, for the things we say and do, fellow Rotarians, is it the truth? Parang hindi pa kayo naglalunch, ah. Fellow Rotarians, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Fair to all concerned,
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
build goodwill and friendship,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
beneficial.
And our answer is?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And now we go to the greetings of birthdays and wedding anniversary. Rotary Ann Chit Marty, June 11. Palakpakan naman natin. Happy birthday. Ann Paula Dairit and Ann Betsy Davis, both of June 14. Then wedding anniversary, Director Johnny and Christina Ang, 15 June. That's it. So may we call our tenors, past President David? Sino pa bang singer natin dito?
That's why I cannot initiate my meal. Where's Louis Asioche? Pipi Louis.
Pipi Louis is not here.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, so
It is your birthday and wedding day. Let's celebrate this important day. We greet you deep in our hearts, dear. A happy birthday. Sing with me, guys. And happy wedding day. Happy birthday, happy wedding anniversary.
Pipi David, nakalimutan natin si Governor Reggie. Ando, no? Hindi ko nakita.
Go, Reggie.
Di, nakaligtas sa kanta.
Ah, you got one over me, huh?
Kanina sabi ko kay to our speaker, Senator Bam, he can be our inducted member. Okay ba sa Makati Rotary? Maging member natin si Senator Bam. Oh. Pero sabi niya kanina, ano bang initiation? Oh, Senator, nakita mo na kailangan kumanta ka. Yan ang initiation dito. Anyway, okay, to acknowledge our guests later, we will properly acknowledge our guest speaker. But for now, let me acknowledge the following dignitaries. Of course, our district governor nominee, Reggie Nulido. Governor Reggie. And Rachel Harrison, the next First Lady. Of course, our guest, His Excellency Melvin Castellano, Ambassador of Malaysia, Republic of Malaysia. Welcome, sir. Also, His Excellency Resi Dukamo, Desi, sorry, sir, Ambassador of Ethiopia, together with the Ethiopian Minister Achliu. Achelu. Did I pronounce it correctly? I hope. Thank you, sir. Also, let us welcome Mr. Carl Russell Menil from the LGU of San Benito, Siargao. Mukhang ano tayo mukhang magsa-surfing tayo sa Siargao. Also, our dignitary, Governor Sue Santa Maria. Gov. Welcome, Gov. Also, Reverend Father Noy Oliveros from the Parish Priest of St. Nicholas of Tolentine Cathedral. Mr. Aaron Tiu, guest of Nico de Rit. Sir Teddy Montelibano, of course, from Daily Tribune. From our Rotary Homes, PP John Vinta, PP Lilibeth de la Cruz, PP Leia Recomite, PP Bea Tan, PP Glenn Goko, PP Emily Alvarez. From our friends from Tulay sa Pag-Unlad Inc., Miss Alice Cordero, the Executive Director. Ha? Miss Jennifer Abastillas and Miss Maribel Guevara. From our Rotaract Club of Makati, PE Hira Hermoso, AJ Sembrano, Princess Paul. Ito mga Rotaract to, mga kabatch ko ito eh. Yan, dapat akong katabi nyo, hindi si Governor Reggie eh. Sa bagay, classmate ko naman yan si Governor Reggie. Martin Revilla, Karil Dotaro, Shaina Tumbagahan, Anthony Basang, and Neil Cantos. Also, we'd like to recognize, apologies for the delay from our Rotary Homes, also Miss PP Baby Bunyi and PP Theda Colliantes. Welcome po. Welcome to everybody. I hope we recognized everybody. Okay. So any announcement, any club function from our fellow Rotarians before we proceed? Past President Ferdy.
I want to give everyone ample time. So on June 27, we will be reaching out to some Dumagat families in our Food for Family program. So watch out for the announcement and the meeting place. We're going to be serving the IPs in Tanay Rizal. So June 27, put that down in your calendars. Thank you.
Oh, save the date. Thank you, PP Freddy. June 27. President nominee, Eddie.
Yeah, again, I just want to remind everybody, on June 24, we're leaving for Puerto Princesa to inaugurate our dorm in Palawan State University. This is in conjunction with Angat Buhay. And I believe Attorney Lenny Robredo will be there to join us. So those that want to join, I think there's 7 of us already that are going. Thank you.
Okay, June 24, there's 7 of us joining, but it's still open for others to join. Then there's
Well, we're also going to Zamboanga tomorrow for this water project. It's an overnight thing.
So tomorrow, so marami tayo. Tomorrow, we're going, President Bing is going to Zamboanga for their water filtration. And then on 24, we'll be going to Palawan for the dorm. And then on January 27, we're going to Tanay June 27, we're going to Tanay. And then in July, we'll be going to Siargao. Andito na yung kasama natin sa Siargao, mag-ano tayo, magse-surfing doon. Okay, President Keith? President-elect Keith.
Okay, I also have announcements of dates. Those who might be interested, we put around a notice. We're trying to put a small group to go and visit RC Bangkok's installation, attend their installation, which is also on the 27th of June. On the 29th of June, there is the installation or induction of RC Cagayan de Oro. And again, interest of anybody who might like to join that group. And then the final one, of course, is don't forget to reply to the Secretariat regarding the induction for our club on the 5th of July.
Okay, so that's July 24 in Bangkok, 27 in
No,
Cagayan.
June 27 Bangkok, June 29 Cagayan de
Oh,
Oro.
Cagayan de Oro. Okay.
And
So June 27, Bangkok. Anybody who would like to join, please tell President-elect Keith. June 29, Cagayan de Oro. Please also inform our Secretariat and President Keith. And of course, very important, July 5, the induction of President Keith and of course, our First Lady Rachel over there. Yay! Di ba? We are inviting our Rotary Gun Club kasi James Bond yan. So bring your meron ba kayong permit to carry? Permit to carry outside the homes. O Gani, dalhin mo na yung 9mm mo. Okay. So let's go now to our next part of the program, our MOA signing. We are about to witness, ladies and gentlemen, the signing of our Memorandum of Agreement and turnover of our donation between the Rotary Club of Makati and St. Nicholas of Tolentine Cathedral. May I call upon Reverend Father Reynald Oliveros, parish priest of St. Nicholas, to sign over here together with our President Bing and of course myself. Tama pala ako dyan. Okay. Now we will call on to turn over our donation.
I've been to sa Rotary Homes, hindi, baka magkamali ako.
Okay, so can we call on past District Governor Sue and the other representatives, other friends from Rotary Homes, please stand so we can give the check. Dito po, dito po. And of course, PP John Vinta, the current president of Rotary Homes now. Ito po, malaki yung cheque dahil 5 million po ito, kaya malaki yung cheque. Grand Fort. Yes.
Sometimes sabi tayo. Rotary Homes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we were just given a check. We were just given a check for 5 million. And we are here. I'm sorry, Manny Padiernos is in charge of one of our villages called Parañaque 1. Now, you might be wondering what Rotary Homes is all about. First of all, I hope you take pride in the fact that the founder of Rotary Homes comes from your ranks. He is past District Governor Sid Garcia. And the purpose of Rotary Homes is to give safe homes to informal settlers who live in endangered environments and who endanger our environment, such as those living along the banks of the waterways who throw their their wastes into the waters, pollute the waters, kill the flora and fauna in the water. So you have a big part in trying to improve the environment, especially our waterways, and providing a safe haven for the informal settlers who live in the banks. The Rotary clubs, including your club, provide them a lot of service projects, including medical missions, instilling the right values. From the bottom of our hearts, from this table of the Board of Trustees of the Rotary Homes Foundation, that includes also our legal counsel, hard to miss, DGN Reggie Nolido, Bimbo over there, Louis who is not here, and Manny also is not here. Maraming salamat po.
If I may add to that, no, speaking as a trustee of the Rotary Homes Foundation, we'd also like to thank the club for the money given today that's going to go to the construction of 40 homes in Muntinlupa. All right. So, and construction is ongoing. The first turnover is going to happen on June 21, no? June 21. So if you're available, the first 10 homes are going to be turned over to the beneficiaries on June 21. You can coordinate with the Secretariat of Rotary Homes. And then in addition to that, no, projects also of Rotary Homes include housing in General Luna in Siargao, which were and Burgos, no. So these are areas that we are also looking at, and I'm hoping that the club will continue to support the homes that are going to be built in these two places. We are also looking at other projects in areas like Narvacan, in Iligan, and in saan pa ba? Marcelo Green, no, in Parañaque, and in the house of Sani Tambunting. No, he is in need of housing for the many the many dependents that he has, informal or otherwise. So again, no, thank you very much from Rotary Homes, and we hope that we continue to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Reggie. Nakalimutan ni Governor Reggie yung mga scholar ni ni Comrade, yung mga legal assistants ni Comrade. Comrade Boy. Anyway, before we have the President's time, we have a online reminder from our Director Rotarian Chris Ferreresa. The Sustainability Forum will be on June 20 at 8:30 a.m. To 12 noon. This will be online, so please register. This Sustainability Forum is in partnership with PNA Grant Thornton through, of course, our director and fellow Rotarian, Chris Ferreresa. So please register with our secretariat and please join this online forum on sustainability. So let's now proceed with our President's time. President Bing.
Thank you very much, Howie. Good afternoon, everybody. You know, we had just come from Singapore to attend the Rotary International Convention, where quite a few of our friends from Rotary Homes had also attended. The next convention is going to be held in Calgary. You know, I really should encourage all of you to attend it. It's really a fascinating experience to meet thousands of delegates from all over the world. There were, I think, something like 20,000 that were there, no? And it was 3 or 4 days of fellowship and, of course, listening to the wonderful experiences of other Rotary clubs all over the world. And you learn from that, really. And, you know, you start figuring out a lot of things that they do are actually quite applicable in our own country. Anyway, it was really a wonderful opportunity as well for camaraderie with our club members, because there were about 22 of us. That's a big number. And hopefully in Canada, we'll also have a equally same number of delegates. So we learned from Rotary and, of course, our sister clubs, and most of all, to meet new and make new friends and meet old friends. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude again to the 22-man delegation who spent a minimum of 3 nights in Singapore. Sayang, wala ka doon, Howie. Ikaw naman, oh. I'm already eagerly anticipating the next one. And I encourage again all our members to join future conventions, as it will deepen your appreciation for Rotary and its global impact. And then last Saturday, we launched another, they call this Super Heroes program for the students of Sisters of Mary's Boys Town in Silang, Cavite. This is the 3rd school where we have brought this program in partnership with the Natasha Goldborn Foundation. This program teaches students and teachers how to properly address mental health concerns as first responders to their fellow classmates and friends. As you know, because of the COVID, there's really been a drastic rise of mental health issues. And a lot of it, in fact, have affected our youth. And the unfortunate thing about it is that they don't normally talk to their parents. So they end up talking to friends. The whole idea of this program is to try to provide some level of first responder type of counseling or training to some of selected student leaders from specific schools so that they themselves can be approached by students whom they probably will feel more comfortable talking to. So that's the whole idea of this Peers Hero program. And we're trying to see how we could uh, widen this because mental health is, as a matter of fact, a Rotary International key focus, which was really highlighted during the convention in Singapore. During the Rotary Convention Singapore, as I said, mental health was emphasized throughout the program, especially by RI President Gordon McInally. I'm happy that our club has responded to this call this year, and I hope we can continue to support this vital program in the future. It's really a simmering problem that we're not aware of, but it's actually there. So we should be well aware of that. Another activity is for this NFT, minting workshop. NFT stands for, again, BOM what? Non-tangible, non-fungible tokens. For some of those who don't understand that, I don't either. But in essence, I think it's being able to translate into into digital form, paintings, for example, and other stuff, no? And actually, believe it or not, that thing is being traded and appreciated in value. Amazing, but that's what's happening. So anyway, if you want to learn about it, we have this clubhouse, we have this meeting in our clubhouse in Guadalupe Viejo, and it focuses on minting artwork, get this, created by special needs kids. Because again, we realize that for kids who are mentally afflicted, particularly those with autism, somehow art is a way, it's an important form of being able to express themselves and become functional. This is a new mode, new medium, which is a digital. So it should be very interesting. And we'll be featuring some artwork actually created by kids. No? So please join us if you are free. Now, if there are participants out there who are not necessarily having mental health issues but have their own work, please join us so we can also actually display your work. And please bring your laptop, tablets, any gadget capable of connecting to the internet. Please don't miss this unique opportunity to learn and support a meaningful cause. Then last June 1, we spent the entire day in Ilocos Sur for a Rotary Day of Service. Allow me to share the RC Makati video news on this project. Can we play?
RC Makati has made a point to return year after year, not just to add more to what we design, but to conduct service missions in Ilocos Sur. On June 1, RC Makati embarked on a concluding day tour leader the communities of Ilocos Sur. Traveling by a private plane of Universal League through Winston Road, the team arrived at the Bian Airport and quickly proceeded to their first stop in Makati. In Orbacan, we deployed an additional 16 buds into the state of Sudan, bringing the total to 240 buds planned. This effort is in partnership with RC Makati. The reed buds contain the names of members and guest speakers of the club during its legal launching. Universal Youth also added 20 more buds for the staff. The team then proceeded to the people sector for a brief program and circuit over 3,600 books from the Books and Processes program. Messages were shared by President Bing Matoto, Director Winston Boy, and Mayor President Den. The program completed written over a copy of the resolution, recognizing the club's support in the plan. After a quick launch at Chat Cafe, the team conducted a modular visit of potential scientists, hoping to provide housing solutions. In the second leg of the tour, the team visited RCG's clubhouse, where they presented a joint project proposal for equipment to assess PI for students. The final stop was at Ilocos National High School, where RC Makati distributed more books from its books across the program, furthering our commitment to education. The day was marked by service and collaboration with sister clubs of Ilocos Sur, reinforcing our dedication to make a positive impact in the community.
Thank you. Well, we did all of that in just 10 hours. And we accomplished all of this actually thanks to the support of Director Winston Uy, who allowed us to use his private plane and whose company donated 20 more reef buds in Narbacan. Just in case, for those of you who are not aware of what the reef buds are supposed to do, they're supposed to regenerate life for coral reefs that have been demolished. And that is one of the key areas where we have planted reef buds. Last Thursday, another group of Rotarians, this time led by PP Freddy Borromeo, they went to Cabuyao, Laguna, to launch, another module of our feeding program, benefiting 60 undernourished children. And again, as earlier mentioned, for our upcoming out-of-town project trips, tomorrow, June 12, we will be flying to Zamboanga for the turnover of the water project in partnership with RC Zamboanga City West. And we will also take the opportunity to sign a new brotherhood agreement and enjoy fellowship. And then on June 24, a delegation from RC Makati, led by PN Eddie Galvez and myself, will be flying to Puerto Princesa for the turnover of our dorm project. It's a dorm project that was earlier described by future President PN Eddie Galvez. And I think former VP Lenny Robredo will be there to grace the occasion. And I encourage all members to consider participating in these trips. It's not too late yet, and witness the first-hand impact that we're making in these communities. In for the Zamboanga trip. Hey, if you guys can still make it, you can still make it. Buy a ticket this afternoon. Now, this is to reiterate our invitation to join the Club Awards on June 19. It's a Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Manila Golf Club. The attire is semi-formal, and this is the last club-wide fellowships for the year. And we will be acknowledging the many contributions that made our year another success. We expect you to be there with your hand. And again, advance thank you to VP Howie Calleja, who I'm sure will make it very colorful. Talk about your awarding. He's the one who organized the affair, so you can get an idea of what kind of an affair that will be. Howie. Thank you again, everyone, for your dedication and hard work. And together, we're making a significant impact, and I am grateful for each one of you. And let's continue to serve and make a difference in our communities. Maraming salamat.
Oh, please be reminded, yung ating awards night, June 19. Tapos, bahala na kung sinong papasayawin natin doon. So anyway, welcome to for our speaker this afternoon, who will be introduced. I guess it would be a nice, nice timing because tomorrow is our Independence Day. So I think it's nice to hear our former senator, next senator, Bam Aquino. Palakpakan naman natin. So, but of course, may I call on Rotarian Nico Dairy to properly introduce our speaker.
Thank you, VP Howie. Okay, I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker. He's a former youth leader, television host, gamer, multi-awarded social entrepreneur, and eventually became the youngest elected senator of the Republic of the Philippines in 2013. Also known as the Ama ng Libreng Kolehiyo, he was the principal sponsor of the landmark legislation Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, which made college in all state universities free for millions of Filipinos. I think against all odds. Against all odds. In 2022, he led the historic presidential campaign of then Vice President Lenny Robredo as campaign manager. which I was a proud volunteer. Yeah. At present, he is the founder and elected chairperson of the country's newest political party for young and fresh leaders, KNP, and the chairperson of Kaya Natin, a nationwide nonprofit that supports the capacity building of local government leaders. In 2023, he was chosen as one of the World Fellow for Maurice Greenberg World Fellows Program of Yale University. Ang kampyon ng kabataan, ang ninong ng esports at Go Negosyo, at ang ama ng libreng kolehiyo. So, hindi lang magandang lalaki. Ano pa? Magaling pa. So, okay. So, let me introduce to you Senator Benigno Bam Aquino.
Maraming salamat, Nico. Kung matawag po kayong magandang lalaki ni Nico, magandang lalaki talaga kayo, di ba? So thank you, Nico. Salamat. Let me greet our presidential table here, Attorney Howie, Sir Bing, Sir Keith, magandang araw, good afternoon to everyone. Our ambassadors, our excellencies, good afternoon to you. And to all of our friends, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. I am in company of friends. I know many of you here, Kuya Eddie, of course, and many others. Magandang hapon, thank you for inviting me. My most special guest today, though, is my daughter, Rory. She's right here. I don't usually bring my daughter, but we had a doctor's appointment and sa traffic po ngayon, mahirap nang bumalik sa bahay. So sinama ko na po si Rory. Today, I'd like to talk about our country. No, I'd like to talk about our country. And the inspiration for this talk came a few weeks ago when I was on the radio and the host asked me point blank. Sabi niya, Senator, what are the 3 things that keeps you up at night? No? Ano yung 3 bagay na hindi ka makatulog sa gabi? You know, and I was so surprised, these 3 things just came out very quickly, which means it must be true. These things really do keep me up at night. No? And today I'd like to talk about 3 things and take note that these are my 3 things. They may not be your 3 things, di ba? If you're a staunch environmentalist, you might say climate change. If you're Attorney Howie, you might say justice in the Philippines, di ba? And the West Philippine Sea, although the West Philippine Sea is one of my 3 things also. So this is my 3 things, no? I-share ko lang po. I'd also like to contextualize these 3 things as one is very short term, immediate, one that is longer term, we'll see the effects of this in a few years, and one that is existential, meaning one that affects all of us in our country. I'm sure you can guess which one that is. So let me begin. The first, next slide please, is really our economic challenges, cost of living in particular. If you look at all of the surveys now, the first thing that our countrymen will say is that it's too expensive to live in our own country. Napakamahal ng presyo ng bilihin, napakababa ng kinikita ko. By the way, to our excellencies here, may I ask our fellow Filipinos to translate when I speak in Tagalog, no? And what's really bothersome for me is that in some cases, there are 2 Philippines. One Philippines represented here in the conservatory at Manila Pen. And many of us and our families are doing revenge spending, revenge travel. As soon as the pandemic was over, we were booking our flights to travel and vacation as soon as possible. But for many of our countrymen, especially this year and last year, cost of living has really become too tremendous. So much so that even our middle class is now feeling this crunch. You talk to other family members, people in your offices, sila po mismo magsasabi, noon kaya ko pa mag-grab. Ngayon di ko na kaya mag-grab, napakamahal na. Just to get to my next meeting kung mag-grab ka o magta-taxi ka. Ang presyo po ng pagkain natin, napakataas. Compared to other countries, even more developed countries, our cost of food is still more expensive, Ambassador. Am I right? And many of our countrymen are feeling this crunch. When I was in Yale last year, I had a fellowship there. I was very lucky to have been friends with a professor from South Africa. And this older gentleman, he had worked with Nelson Mandela. And he was telling me, you know, Senator, what our countries lack is that they only look at the economy in terms of growth, only GDP. Because to be fair, our GDP is still doing well, even until today. Even through all of the challenges we've had in the past decade, our GDP is still doing well in the ASEAN. But one thing we don't look at is really our levels of inequality. And mga kaibigan, the Philippines in this region or amongst our neighbors has the highest inequality. South Africa, in his case, also had one of the highest inequality. And he was saying, more than growth, you look at inequality as the main indicator for unrest, as the main indicator for uprisings, as the main indicator for unhappiness. Look at that apart from growth. Don't just look at growth, look at these other indicators as well. Para sa mga kababayan po natin, they go to the palengke, pupunta po yung palengke, yan yung presyo makikita nila. In fact, medyo luma pa nga to eh. Ngayon po, yung nabibili ng bigas is at 58 pesos already. No. Take note that when you look at the price of rice in the Philippines, our production of rice went from 90% in about 2016 to 2018. It's now down to less than 50%. No. So we're not even producing enough rice for our own countrymen. And the price of rice that we're able to import or we're able to produce is at a price which is very difficult for our countrymen to achieve. Yung 58 pesos po per kilo, napakataas talaga. And that's just rice. We're not yet talking about other commodities, other food, transportation, gastos sa edukasyon, and so on and so forth. So this, my friends, I think is really one thing that should keep all of us up at night. How do we bridge this gap between what our countrymen can earn and what they need to spend for their daily needs? Interestingly enough, I was talking to Attorney Luke Espiritu, who belongs to these labor groups. And we came across, or we were talking about this term called the living wage. No? Sa Pilipinas po, sanay tayo, minimum wage. Ibig sabihin, yung pinakamababa na pwede nating ibayad sa mga kapwa Pilipino natin, no? Minimum wage. But many years ago, I think, siguro nung nasa high school kami ni Attorney Howie, maybe minimum wage was enough. Oh, probably, right? Minimum wage was enough. You're a minimum wage earner, maybe dalawa kayo, 2 minimum wage earners, maybe it was enough for a family of 4 or 5 to survive. But now that gap has grown even more. Interestingly enough, in our Constitution, there is no mention of minimum wage. In our Constitution, in Article 13, Section 4, ang nakalagay doon is a living wage. That as a country, our aspiration is not to provide minimum wage. Our aspiration is to provide a living wage for our countrymen. Ibig kong sabihin nun, may kakayanan na tustusan yung pangangailangan at may konti pang natitira, pang savings o pang Jollibee man lang. Diba? That's a living wage. And that's in our Constitution. And that gap has grown so much in the last few years. And this is a gap na kailangan nating ma-recover. How are we able to recover this gap? Of course, there's support from government. That's why we have free education. We're one of the few countries in the world where you can start at K, end at 12, and go to college and have it all free. You know, and that's an accomplishment for our country. That in the Philippines, our students can have a path towards a tertiary education which has been paid for by all of us. Ang laking bagay po noon. Our healthcare though maybe needs to improve a little bit, but if you add all of this, benefits of the government, what people can earn, pag dinagdag nyo po yan, kasama na yung ayuda na napaka-popular na po sa panahon ngayon, that should be enough for a family to live. And I think this is something that is immediate. Hindi siya long-term, no? It's immediate because this is the number one issue of many of our countrymen. If you're following international politics, geopolitics, no, you look at India. India recently had its election. And what was the biggest surprise? The biggest surprise was that the party of President Modi did not win. They lost more than they expected. And President Modi in the world is one of those presidents who are seemingly invincible, and as you know, almost like the Indian population now is like probably 90% or 95% behind him. But this election proved that cost of living can break any elections. Canada has its election soon. They're expecting a change in leadership also because of a cost of living. America, if Trump does win again, it will largely be because of cost of living. And recently, France, the right-wing party won, not because of right-wing values, but because of promises that the cost of living will be abated. So mga kaibigan, kung merong isang bagay na kailangan nating bantayan, ito yun. We have to be able to find ways such that the cost of our goods go down, the ability of our countrymen to earn go up, and that the emoluments and benefits of government actually match. Sa totoo lang, the truth is we are providing so much welfare to our countrymen. Billion po yan. But the question does remain, is it being distributed in the best way possible? Are we really able to make sure that all of this money for our farmers, for our fishermen, for our urban poor, for so many people, ito ba'y talagang nabibigay sa tamang paraan? Napapasok ba talaga siya sa formula upang magkaroon ng living wage yung mga kababayan natin? And this is something we have to look at. Next slide. Long-term structural problems. And here, we talk about education. This is very close to my heart. Also close to Sir Eddie's heart here because we've been working on education in different ways. No? Sila Kuya Eddie have been working with classrooms for a number of years. We've been working on policies for education. But this is one which I think if we don't really focus on it now, in the next 10 years, we're going to see a big deficit, which will affect our ability for our countrymen to earn and to get the opportunities that are available from the rest of the world. This is really a huge issue, exacerbated by the pandemic, where we had 2-3 years of really terrible education because we weren't able to go to schools. And now we're seeing children at grade 3 and grade 4 and grade 5, unfortunately, even at grade 6, not being able to read. This is a problem that we don't talk about enough, honestly. The way po I look at our education crisis, I look at it as there's a horse race, nagsimula na yung karera, yung kabayo natin pilay. You know? So ang tanong, papatakbuhin ba natin yung kabayo na pilay or hihintayin muna nating maghilom yung kabayo bago tayo tumakbo? I don't know the answer. But this problem is so huge considering that right now, the challenges of the market with our students is so huge. With AI, with a lot of the technologies there, we should use this to be able to help our students leapfrog things rather than create a bigger disparity between what the market needs and how our students, the capability and skills of our students. So ang laking bagay po nito, the educational issues that we have. And again, this is not a magic bullet issue or a one-shot, one-size-fits-all issue. There are so many different facets to this problem, and we have to look at it. Sabi nga nila, how do you eat an elephant? Nico, one bite at a time, di ba? So we look at this huge problem and we address it one bite at a time. Infrastructure problems like classrooms. By the way, sila Kuya Eddie here, we're working on classrooms for a number of years. Who would have thought that in April, the biggest problem was our classrooms are too hot? Diba? I'm sure when you were putting up the classrooms, hindi nyo naisip yon. And yet that problem, I think more than 15 days of our public schools were, people were sent home because their classrooms were too hot. Nung bata ho kami, nung bata tayong lahat dito, except Rory, wala hong ganun. Ang problema natin, baha at malakas na ulan. Who would have thought? Init yung magiging problema natin. So that's a big challenge for next year. What are we going to do for next year? Yung iba nagsabi, oh, maglagay tayo ng aircon. I'm not sure if that's feasible na i-aircon natin yung mga public schools. No? Or do we change the design of our classrooms so more ventilation can come in? But this is a problem that is only in 2024. Can you imagine that? Sa lahat ng problema ng educational system natin, dinagdagan mo pa ng climate change and extreme weather conditions. So there are problems that are coming up, and yet we have a lot of structural problems we need to fix. And mga kaibigan, this is one that nobody talks about. Yung una, a lot of people talk about it, but maybe not in our circles. This one, not enough people are talking about it, period. Itong third, I'm happy that Attorney Howie is here and leading the charge with Isang Bayan, and soon to be his party list pag na-accredit na. The third one, oh, may secret akong sinabi sa inyong lahat, di ba? May plano si Attorney Howie. The third one, next slide please. is really existential. And that really is our geopolitical threats. I'm happy our diplomatic corps is here. When I was in Yale in that fellowship, dun po naging mas malinaw sa akin that we all grew up here as an island people. You know, what do I mean? We never shared a border with anybody. And countries who share borders, it's very present to them about the actions of their neighbors. Like right now, immigration might be, apart from cost of living, immigration might be what turns the American elections. No, napaka-present sa kanila ang kanilang mga kapitbahay. For us, who grew up in an island nation, it's not real. We don't really think of other countries around us. Which is why I think when the huge Chinese boats are there, few 100 kilometers, 1,000 kilometers, less, no? Few hundred kilometers away from our shores. It seems that the only people talking about this are people in that area and cause-oriented groups. You know, sayang po na yung mga kababayan po natin, hindi ito ang mas pinag-iisipan at pinag-uusapan. No? Because this is really existential. You talk to our friends who are Koreans, for example, from South Korea. You know, they grow up, everybody goes to military training. Even BTS had to undergo military training because there's a present danger for them. And that is, of course, their neighbor, which is North Korea. It's same with other countries. No? It's very present. Sa atin po, because we grew up without, maybe the last time we had this was during World War II when the Japanese invaded us. No? And we were still under American rule. But since then, hindi ho natin ma-imagine ano yung ibig sabihin na militarized ang ating mga dagat. You know, for many Filipinos, at least those who are really focused on this issue, what we want is very simple. We want our shores, our seas to be demilitarized. We want our fishermen to be able to fish. We want our country to be able to benefit from the natural resources of what is internationally recognized as our territory. Simple lang naman eh. The fact that there are bases there which are militarized must keep us up at night. If it doesn't already. I'm sure si Attorney Howitt keeps him up at night. But not enough Filipinos, I think, really understand how present this problem is in our country. Nung bumisita po ako sa Zambales, I went to a Ramon Magsaysay, an RMTU there, Ramon Magsaysay Technological University. I visited them a few years ago. Yung principal po doon, dinala ako sa shore. And sabi niya, you know, Senator, pag nagpa-flag ceremony, we look out there. O sabi ko, oh, but sir, your flagpole is over here. Why aren't you looking over here? Oh, we look out there because if you take a speedboat from this spot, in 4 hours, you will hit the base of China. In 4 hours. You know, you ask Attorney Howie, he was there in Pag-asa. No? He invited me, di lang po ako makapunta. But it's that close. And these are not neutral areas. These are militarized areas which have no place in our country. Recently, and this is just maybe a week and a half ago, China banned our fishermen from fishing in that area. And there were a number of people who spoke out about it. I was one of them. Isambayan was one of them. Because can you imagine, China, which is quite far from this area, banning our fishermen from fishing in this area, an area which has been traditionally where these communities get their livelihood and get their fish. Sabi nga po nila, lahat gawin mo na sa tao, wag mo lang tanggalan ng hanap buhay. And if you look at our society, the fishermen are the poorest in the Philippines. Did you know that? The fishermen are poorer than our jeepney drivers. They're poorer than our farmers. The fishermen are the poorest in the Philippines. So can you imagine how lopsided this fight is? We have probably the only superpower, or one of the superpowers in our country, banning the poorest in our country. One of the superpowers in the world, I'm sorry, banning the poorest in our country from their livelihood. Mga kaibigan, that should keep us up at night. And I've said, you know, hindi naman tayo war freak, attorney, di ba? To being, nobody wants war. And let me clarify that. Nobody wants conflict. Nobody wants that. But when it comes to standing up for our own territory and supporting our countrymen who are the most affected, siguro naman tayong taga Manila, kami taga Tarlac, kayo po taga Batangas o taga Iloilo o Cebu, kahit di tayo apektado ng lugar na yon. Sana naman yung mga puso natin malaki enough na mahabag at tumulong dun sa lugar na yon. So, in partnership with Atin Ito Coalition, and this is through Kaya Natin, one of the groups I chair, tomorrow we're launching a fund drive to support the fishermen who are now cut out from fishing in our territory. We're raising funds. Nag-commit na po si Attorney Howie ng unang tranche daw, sabi niya. I hope you can support us. And through the Atin Ito Coalition, we will be raising funds and we will be giving this money directly to the fishermen who for the next 3.5 months will have a difficult time going to their traditional areas for their families and for their livelihood. So, ito pong tatlo. Short term, our cost of living, naramdam ng marami sa mga kababayan natin. Long term, our educational crisis, which we will eventually see the difficulties of this in a few years, maybe in 5 to 10 years, and this existential crisis. What do these three have in common? What do these three things have in common? Unang-una, yung mga problema pong ito, marami nagsasabi, wala ka na magagawa dyan. You know? Yung taas ng presyo, wala ka na magagawa dyan. Yung education, ganyan na yan. Wala ka na magagawa. China, yan, wala ka talagang magagawa dyan. That's what a lot of people say. But the truth is, may magagawa po tayo dyan. Hindi po yan, hindi tayo helpless dito sa problemang to. We can actually do something towards this. When you look at our cost of living and you look at prices, some of our colleagues who are doing the computations, really just by stopping corruption at the ports or lessening corruption at the ports, you can lower food price easily by 10 to 15%. And many of the businessmen know this, that right now, yung added costs natin for doing business is so much and just passed on to the consumer. If a lot of that is lessened, easily 15 to 20% of food price could go down. So is it possible to bring 58 to 40 something or even 30 something? Yes, it's very possible. Posible po yan. Hindi ho yan imposible. Maraming masyadong kumikita dito sa mga bagay na yan. Kaya tuloy po, yung mga kababayan natin, ang laki ng binabayad nila. When you talk about supporting our workers, supporting our trying to get to that living wage, yes, there are ways to do it. Other countries have been able to do it, even in partnership with the businesses. There are ways to be able to get more support or even support from the government. If we're able to look at the way ayuda is now distributed and do it in a more efficient way, we'll be able to help more families fulfill that gap that is so huge right now in our country. You look at our educational crisis, marami pong grupo dyan. A lot of NGOs have been here for decades working from Sinergia, Teach for the Philippines, napakarami po niyan. And everybody has these plans on how to improve our educational system. We just need to put the pressure such that our educational system can really improve already and the reforms needed, magawa na ho natin yan. Groups like Rotary and JCs and Lions, no? Ang rami pong tulong na binibigay sa mga schools, no? Like AGAP, di ba? Ang raming tulong na binibigay sa mga schools just to be able to support them with their needs. But the problems po for education are both on ground, but also in terms of policy. Maraming kailangan pong gawin rin in terms of policy. Our contribution of free college, people ask me, Senator, ang laking reforma niyan. Yes, malaking reforma po siya, but it's just one of maybe 1,000 that we need to do. You know, providing free tertiary level education is important for millions of Filipinos, but trust me when I say, isa lang po yan sa napakaraming reforma ang kailangan gawin. And lastly, when it comes to our fishermen, definitely the military has a role to play. And you know, I have to give the proper kudos, no, to the DFA and to our military, to this administration also for standing up for our country. But it doesn't mean na wala na tayong papel. No? When you talk about the people affected by this area, by these moves, especially our fishermen, makikita ho natin napakahalaga ng role nating lahat. It's very important. So what we're doing now with Isambayan, Atin Ito Coalition, supporting our fishermen who are affected by this, by all of these moves in the West Philippine Sea. Ako po, pakiramdam ko, ito yung role na pwedeng gampanan ng taong bayan. We can come together and support them. I don't know if you saw that clip, but a few weeks ago, through Atin Ito Coalition, and I think Isambayan is part of that coalition, they sent all of these fishing boats, 50 fishing boats, to match up against those big vessels of China. And the fishermen said, itong buhay namin eh. So pag lumalabas kami dyan, we're risking our lives, pero ito na kasi yun eh. Kung mawala to sa amin, parang yung buhay namin nawala na rin. And when I saw that, when I saw those boats slowly going up to these big warships, I could only think of two things. One was Dunkirk, if you remember during World War II, when the British soldiers were stuck at the other side of the channel, and Winston Churchill didn't have enough military boats to save them. So it was the citizens of the UK that went in their own small ships to save their British soldiers, and that was seen as a turning point in World War II. And of course, closer to home, our own EDSA People Power Revolution, where it was citizens who stood up against the tanks. And even though the tanks were there, even though it was dangerous, nanindigan po tayo doon at nakita natin, natigil ng taong bayan yung mga malalaking tangke. The boats there at the West Philippine Sea reminded me of that. Pero syempre, kulang pa yung support nila. What do these three things have in common? Itong short-term, long-term, and existential geopolitical threat. People will say, wala na kayong magagawa dyan. Pero ako po, and I hope all of us here, those who are still willing to speak out, work, fight, donate, we still believe na may magagawa pa tayo dyan. Last slide, please. Lately, one more slide, please. One more, yeah. Lately po, you can go to the next one. I joined a new political party. This is the youngest political party in the Philippines. It's called KNP, Katipunan na Nagkakaisang Pilipino. Yung KNP po was put up in 2021 for Attorney Leni's campaign for her presidential campaign. Many of the people who joined KNP were the provincial heads of the Leni Robredo campaign. And after the elections, of course, in the middle of our depression, mga depressed kami dito, di ba? Nag-usap-usap po yung mga young leaders. Now, most of the KNP members are young board members, young vice mayors, young councilors, nag-usap-usap at sabi nila, gusto naming ituloy pa rin ang partidong ito. We want to continue the party. We want to continue the fight. And this May, last month, they asked me to formally be the chairman of this organization. So I joined as chairman of this party, the newest political party in the Philippines. And we're hoping that with the starting group of those who supported Attorney Leni and much more, because so many people have now come and said that they do want to support a new brand of politics, we hope that this party can make a dent in next year's elections. And we hope for your support as well. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for giving me the time. And I'm very happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you for inviting me today. Salamat po.
Thank you, Senator Bam. And we're open for some questions. Ang paalala ko lang, please state your name and make it brief. Marami nang nagsabi sa akin na gusto mag-ask, so let's make it more questions than more manifestations than anything. VP Junjun.
Good afternoon. I'll just call you Bam, okay? I'm addressing your long-term problem of education. Thank you very much for passing that law on the free education. I just have a comment on the implementation because it was implemented only for public schools. No, if you get accepted in a public school, that's the only time you will actually benefit from this. And I think the other objective was so that it's supposed to be given for those who cannot afford, right? But the reality is, because I'm in education, the reality is a lot of people who could afford to pay tuition, not only to the public school, but even to private schools, transfer to the public schools in order for them to attain, to get the free education. So what I'm saying is, I hope that the implementation could be revised so that you could give, for example, vouchers for those who want to go to a private school, and then to implement the screening so that you can only give the free education to those who cannot afford.
Thank you, sir. Actually, the So initially, when we were passing that law, the private schools were of course opposing it, no? And we were able to get consensus when we agreed that we would also provide the tertiary education subsidies for the private schools, especially in areas where there are more private universities than local universities. So on its first year, kung mapapansin po ninyo, if you remember, there was a very healthy allocation even to the private schools. But through the years, that's been going down. And this has been raised many times. Ako ho kasi, I don't agree na walang pera for education. You know, when you say ang budget walang pera, ibig sabihin hindi mo yan priority. No? But on its first year, when I was still there, at binabantayan po namin yan for 2 or 3 years that I was still there, we made sure the allocation was there for the private schools. You're correct. There are actually a significant number of students in the private universities, and even in the private universities, except for the Ateneos and LaSalles, marami rin po dyan nangangailangan estudyante, and they do deserve that support. So this is now a budget issue. So which means every budget season, we have to make sure there are champions po in Congress and the Senate to make sure that the allocations are there. Unfortunately, yung binawasan po yung Unifast tsaka yung test. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, and monitor niyo po yan. But my commitment is that we'll get back to the spirit of the law, which is the support is for students in SUCs and the students who are in need in the private universities. Thank you, sir. Salamat.
Okay, thank you, Senator Bam. Merong online question lang dito, Senator Bam. Since you are from Tarlac and you said that you have the youngest organization, KNP, member ba daw ng KNP si Alice Go? And any comment on Mayor Alice Go in Tarlac?
So, sa totoo lang ho, I haven't had the pleasure of, I don't know si Mayor Alice. She actually ran 2022, di ba? When she ran. So I knew the previous mayor. I think we're all very excited about is she a spy or she's not a spy. Kasi ano po siya talagang trending siya, sir. Trending for so many weeks. But I think what we're missing out is really merong facility na illegal na may connection yung local government leader. No, I think that's what we need to focus on na dapat matigil na. Clearly, sorry this is just my opinion, but I'm guessing may mga syndicate yan na katrabaho or connected, you know, kasi that facility is not just gambling but also scamming, you know. So that's something I think that we are not focusing enough on. Masyado tayong focus sa kanyang saan ba siya pinanganak, tatay ba niya o nanay ba niya, di ba, mga ganyan. We have to focus on the real issue, which is a sitting local government leader has connections to an illegal facility in such a small town. Si Bamban po is one of the smallest towns in Tarlac. I went to Barangay Payatas 2 weeks ago. Mas marami pang botante ang Barangay Payatas kesa sa Bamban, Tarlac. So small. So it begs the question, kung ito kaya mangyari sa napakaliit na municipality, what about the rest of the municipalities in the Philippines, di ba? Baka yun po dapat yung policy action natin. Let's i-check natin lahat ng mga lugar sa ating bansa, especially the small ones, kung may nangyayaring ganyan at matigil na yan. Last I heard, she's already suspended, no?
Suspended
Parang
for
suspended na po
the,
siya. Yeah.
but not suspended because being Chinese.
Well, yes. So nga yung point ko, may illegal na nangyayari. So yun dapat yung isang focus ho natin dyan.
Okay, so thank you, Senator Bam. Treasurer Director Lito. Tony, sorry.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Ba't wala sa listahan ng birthday si Tony kanina?
Last week.
Last
Last
week.
week.
Nakita ko, nagsimba ka pa eh.
Good afternoon, Mr. Aquino. Thank you for gracing our club meeting. I'm Tony Lopez. I belong to the Howie Calleja fan club. Yeah. Okay. I'm the first member. Okay. I'll ask you a difficult question. I don't know much about the current and the past Senate presidents, Cheese Escudero, and what's the first name? Mig Zubiri. Yeah, I'd like to know more about them because I saw the sudden switch. And people say it's because of this, of that. But I want to know the character. And presumably you've been with them for some time. Okay. So they're not part of your party. So you're free to bombast them. But you could be also charitable and tell us good traits that we
Yes.
don't know about. So please feel free. I just wish to know more about them. Thank you.
It's not difficult at all, sir. That's a very easy question because I served with them for, I think for Cheese, 6 years, no? And for Migs, 3 years. So in the Senate ho kasi, kahit magkakaiba kayong partido, you really have to work with each other because you want your laws to get passed. You need the votes, right? And because of the unique situation that you're in, you eventually get to know people on a personal level. So I will say one good trait each of these gentlemen. Di naman kailangan, di ba? Di naman kailangan. But si Migso, Senator Migs is very accommodating. He'll really do his best to try to help you out. And this is not just with other senators, but people in general. That's his character. If he can help you out, he really will. Maybe it's the Ilonggo in him, I don't know. Pero in that sense na pag may kailangan ka, if you need to do a favor, he will really bend backwards to help you out. No? Si Cheese naman po is a really great legal mind. Coming up in 2013, he was one of the senior ones. I would ask for his help a lot in terms of legislation. I was a junior senator, and he was kind enough to help me out with legislation. Si Chispo has been a lawyer for a number of years, part of the JBC. So when it comes to legislation and making sure the law itself is a good law, he was always very generous to me in terms of helping out. So that happens. Changes in Senate presidency happens. Nangyayari ho talaga yan. It happens for different reasons. Maybe yung medyo tumaas yung kilay natin was when Senator Mig said, kasi hindi ako sumunod sa instruction, medyo dun tumaas yung mga kilay natin. Kasi sa totoo lang po, the Senate in our history has always been, it's always been called the last bastion of democracy, the last bastion of independence in our country. And the nature of the Senate, where you're all voted at large, like the president and the vice president. In our history, it always meant that the senators can have a voice and can decide whether the president likes it or not. Now, of course, we go back to the 90s when the Senate voted against the US bases. And even then, Tita Cory was for the US bases. But the Senate at that time stood on their own ground and said, no, we can survive without these bases. Yeah, sabi ni Freddy. But the point is, they made a decision apart from the president. In the previous administration, there was a big push towards charter change. And the senators, during my time, we said, no, we don't. Even some of the allies of the former president said, no, we don't think it's going to be good for the country. Even if this is one of the main push of the president, we're going to resist. There was a big push for death penalty, same. Yung mga senador nag-usap-usap and said, no, there's a big push for death penalty, but we're going to stand on our ground and say we're not going to agree. So there are times, even when the president is very popular, even when the president's very powerful, that the Senate has been able to say, we're going to make decisions on our own. And I prefer it to be that way. Na yun po yung role ng Senado sa ating bayan. If the Senate then becomes a rubber stamp or susunod-sunod lang, sayang naman po yung Senado. Sayang naman yung boto ninyo na kasing dami ng presidente at kasing dami ng vice president. And that's me, no? There was someone I was talking to who's a little bit older than me, or maybe 15 to 20 years older than me. And sabi sa akin, Bam, noon nag-cut class kami from U-Belt para lang manood sa Senate. Para mapanood namin si Jokno, mapanood namin si Tito Mo, mapanood namin yung si Mang Lapus. We'd cut class just to go to the Senate and watch their debates. That's a long time from TikTok and Facebook, right? But there was a time when that was the Senate in our country. Diba? And I'm hoping po that can get back to that, where you talk about the Senate, you talk about true independence, and people are willing to take a risk and willing to vote based on what's good for the country.
Thank you, Senator Bam. Any other President Ming?
Uh, Senator Bam, during the last senator elections, of course, you didn't make it. I thought you should have, but um, what you've said actually all makes sense. What is important is to have people like you be elected, but the reality seems to be very different. So, I mean, have you learned, I presume you had learned from that last election, and is there anything, it's not too confidential, that you think you'll change in terms of your approach to ensure that this time around you'll be able to make it?
Thank you, Sir Bing. So I guess the biggest learning from 2022 is you can't be late. No, you can't start the week of the filing. So when VP Lenny asked me to be her campaign manager, that was the week of the filing. And I was actually preparing to run for the Senate. Kami po ni Senator Kiko, no? So of course, he was asked to run as vice president, even if he knew it would almost be impossible to win against VP Sara. And ako naman po, I was preparing to run for the Senate. I was doing well in the surveys, but the call of the times was to run the campaign. There's no regret there. But starting really late, I think, was very difficult, no? One of our consultants actually said, you know, Senator, you just ran out of runway. No? By the time that things were taking off, tapos na yung laban. No? So now, learning from that, we really have to start earlier. That's why I announced po na I'm preparing to run. People are saying, hindi ba napakaaga? Oo pero kasi kung October ka na naman mag-a-announce, huli na naman yung lahat. And we need to get people, you know, kailangan gisingin natin ulit yung mga kababayan natin. We have to wake up again, di ba? Kailangan, you know, we have to shed off all those sad feelings and get ready for another fight. The other big learning is social media. And now, actually, the social media landscape is very different from the previous administration. It's very, very different. If there's a big issue now na lumalabas, ano po, different voices come out. It's not like before, it's only the administration's voice that came out. Now it's very different, no? So those two things are big things. The third, and I guess this might be the biggest thing, the Senate's math is different from the presidential math. Sa presidente ho kasi, you only ask for one. So makikipagtalo ka talaga, no? I mean, you might unfriend ho your cousin or your classmate or you leave the group, 'di ba? Kasi inis na inis ka. The math for a senatorial run in a midterm is very different. I would say if the people who voted for Attorney Lenny vote for me, I'm in. After all, Senator Risa made it in 2022, 'di ba? So the math is very different. And ano rin po, and this is something I tell our supporters. So si Nico po was one of the biggest supporters, no, in 2022. Huwag tayo makikipag-away this time. No, there's space. It's 12, okay? Yung nag-uusap po ngayon is at least Senator Kiko and Attorney Chel, no, we talk regularly. Senator Risa is helping us out. Of course, VP Lenny is helping us out. Even if the admin has a slate or maybe President Duterte has a slate, at the end of the day, Filipinos just have like 4 or 5 people in their minds. So to ask for 1, 2, 3, it's really not that much. And again, if people who voted for Attorney Lenny vote for us, more than enough na po yan. So the math is very, very different po talaga.
Follow-up question lang, Howie. You mentioned this new political party. Presumably that will be the platform that you'll be using when you run. And my question then is, again, part of the reality of elections, local, national elections, do you see yourselves or your party affiliating with an existing political party, even to the extent perhaps of affiliating with the current party of President Marcos?
Right now, there's really no talks, no? But on the ground ho kasi, we do have alliances with people who supported VP Lenny. Some people didn't support her but now want to ally with us. And for those here who have worked in politics, alam naman ho natin na it's really relationship more than party. So in my case, and Senator Kiko, for example, who's been there for a long time already, I was a member of LP until 2019. My dad was, of course, part of the group that put up LDP, that spun off to Lakas. We have friends from different party lists also. And usually po, that network is the one that is on the ground. It's not just one party. I've always been adopted by NPC. For example, in Tarlac, the leadership there is NPC. It's not LP or my new party. So ano ho yan? It's really, that's part of the tapestry of Philippine politics. It's really on the ground, magkakaiba po yan talaga. And right now that I'm not in the administration, it's a benefit for people like me who are running as independent.
Governor Reggie, and then siguro we'll have two more or three. Anybody else para we know how to follow?
Senator Bam,
Reggie and then Keith.
good afternoon. I like giving you communion in Christ the King, by the way. It's clear, no, that the gap between the rich and the poor is really growing. It's a very big problem. I'd like to think that our poor brothers and sisters are not looking for subsidy, they're looking for opportunity. If you agree with this, then how is it, what is the problem why opportunities for them is becoming more scarce? And more importantly, how can we provide this opportunity? And perhaps also asking on behalf of Rotary, what our role can be in that endeavor. Thank you.
So let me talk about one of the laws I tried to pass on my last year. So anyone here is familiar with the German model. German model, their educational system, even before you graduate. So you're placed very early on what track you're going to do. So we're trying to copy that with K-12. But the truth is there's so much inefficiency in terms of what the market can provide or what the market needs, and the skills and the courses that our students can take. Yun pa lang po ang laking problema na. So I'm not against K-12. I'm very supportive of K-12. But yung implementation niya needs a lot to be desired. Let's admit it already, di ba? In Germany, you're tracked already very early on and even before you graduate because of a robust internship and apprenticeship program. Even before you graduate, alam mo na kung saan ka papasok. Third year pa lang of your last year, you already probably have a job offer. Sa bansa natin, when you graduate, masaya ka on graduation day, the next day naman problema ka na kasi wala kang trabaho. Or the nearest job that's available to you is 2 provinces away, or you have to go to the city. Because even the course that you took up has no opportunity in the place that you studied. So there's so much inefficiency. We're still doing it through silos, which is a very antiquated system. And we're assuming that there's no localization of opportunities and skills that you need. Parang everything's general. You know, so magtataka ka, ang raming job fair, the job fair is done, 1,000 slots were not filled up. And then at the same time, you have schools producing graduates who don't have any opportunities for work. So yun pa lang, pwede mo na pong makonect yun. That's a systemic change that has to happen. And we are trying to push that reform after the Free College Act to be able to create these linkages. And that's something that you can do. So if you ask me, what can Rotary do? Look at it from a model perspective. If some of us here have businesses, we open up our businesses to schools. We're able to work with the principals, or if it's a private school, we're able to work on the curriculum so that sigurado yung placement ng mga estudyante. There are schools that do that. Here, sa Penn. If I'm not mistaken, si Penn, tama ba ito? Mga waiter ba dito? Tama ba? Yung may school sa QC ba yun na katrabaho ng Peninsula na diretso na dito yung trabaho? May ganun ba? Dito sa Peninsula, hindi. Meron noon? Or hindi na ngayon? Hindi na ngayon? Hindi ka sure? Okay. So noon, some hotels would work with TESDA schools such that bago pa mag-graduate from the TESDA school or that particular training center, may offer na magtrabaho. And that's not hard. That's linkages. That's something we could be able to do. But can you imagine if every student kampante siya na may trabaho siya, yung pamilya niya, alam na itong pinag-aaralan niya, may madudulot na trabaho at the end of that process. Laking bagay, di ba? Pag siguradong may trabaho tayo. So those are things that we can do. This is the that model, we were trying to push it from government. So for example, one of my laws, the law that provides free lunch in our DepEd schools, we put a provision there, as much as possible, yung lunch na yan, bibilin from the local farmers. Of course, it was difficult kasi magulo yung procurement process ng gobyerno, may mga resibo and all of that. But we put the provision there to create exemptions so the schools can buy from local farmers. And we know that all of this effort has a market that can eventually support it. No? So, ako po, one thing we can do, let's open up. You're already providing housing and communities in Rotary homes, di ba? Why not livelihood na rin? Let's open up our businesses. Let's open up our opportunities. Let's give people jobs. No? And then yung training po niyan, integrated siya in the schools or other training centers and it becomes sustainable. Because one thing I've seen, kung CSR ito or donation ito, pag mahirap ang buhay, maybe not for this club, no? Kasi sabi sa akin ni Attorney Howie, ito daw yung pinakamasaganang club sa Pilipinas, no? In fact, I was looking at your budget, it's bigger than some municipalities in the Philippines, no? Honestly. Sa totoo lang. But most other groups, kapag mahirap po ang buhay, they cut the donations, they cut the CSR. But if the program is integrated in businesses, di ba? Meron siyang mapupuntahan na market-driven, then it will be sustainable. Then the support, tuloy-tuloy po siya. Hindi siya natitigil-tigil, di ba? And I think this is how we should look at things already. How can we make things more efficient? How can we bring these different groups together? How can we help our students get the jobs that they want and they need by trying to make it more efficient?
Okay, thank you, Senator Bam. And maybe just to add the linkages and what Rotary can help, I was already talking to President Bing. We will be having our board meeting next Friday. If your group can have us an initiatory letter for the fishermen in Zambales, the Rotary Club of Makati, through the directors, will be happy, through the president, would be happy to add to whatever we can give to the fishermen in Zambales. Palakpakan naman natin ang yan, automatic po yan. Ngayon, so maybe if you can send us the letter before Friday, kahit text lang or something so we can have something to work on our board meeting. Okay, so President Keith and past President Emily.
Okay, so I would like to ask a question, if I may. Firstly, thank you very much for your talk today. I would like to ask something. I'm not a Filipino, so I shouldn't be asking it. But can you give me your opinion about past President Duterte and how much he is to blame for your three big issues, or has things to answer for?
Yeah, well, clearly the biggest change in foreign policy. So if you look at the biggest changes from the Aquino administration to the Duterte administration, you have one, which is, of course, the war on drugs. You have the focus on importation, which was the rice tariffication law. And I didn't vote for the rice tariffication law. I think its implementation has a lot to be desired because the price went up. The promise was if we import more, the price will go down. Instead, the price went up. It's the second big change. The third is foreign policy. Most other policies, you'd be surprised, are actually continued. Seriously, social welfare, even education, K-12, there weren't a lot of changes, except that those three were really big changes. The war on drugs, which of course concerns our police and peace and order. The foreign policy, which was the big shift, the big pivot to China and letting go of the ruling at the International Tribunal of the Sea, and the importation of our agricultural products. No? So those three. So what we have here now, of course, was because of a policy shift. And the current administration, the Marcos administration, at least when it came to the pivot to China, did a 180-degree turn and then pivoted back. So na-whiplash rin po tayong lahat, no, sa bilis ng mga pangyayari at with how fast things happen. But personally, I would prefer this stance where you're being very clear, you're not giving mixed signals, and you're being very clear that that territory is really ours. Now, of course, while that is happening, you do expect a lot of diplomacy to also happen to make sure we don't get to war. You know, I think that's really the job of the ambassadors and the diplomatic corps. But publicly, and even to the world, you need to be very clear about our territory and our sovereignty. You know, I mean, Ito na lang, chismis. Okay, so chismis time. So while I was in Yale, I had a co-fellow who was Chinese, and there are only 16 of you. So it's a very small group. People are politicians, cabinet members. In her case, she was a climate change leader. Yes, I am. So she became a good friend. I invited her to dinner in my place. I went to dinner in her place. And I made sure to bring up the problem of the West Philippine Sea when it was just the two of us. Because I know for the Chinese, you don't want to lose face in big crowds. When I talked to her, she got so red. She couldn't talk. She got so red. And she basically said, Senator, as far as the public is concerned in China, what we know is you actually like our presence there. Yeah, that's what she said. No, I said, no, actually, we've been trading partners for 5,000 years. We've never had any conflict. Our conflict happened when you built bases. And of course, naglabas pa ako ng mapa. As in, naglabas ako ng mapa. This is China, this is the Philippines, this is the West, this is where you are. Naglabas ako ng video. And she was so surprised that me, as a former senator, of course, representing all of us, were saying, actually, 90% of the Filipino people are against this. And she was really surprised about it. No? And I think that perception of hers is because during the previous administration, at least government to government, there were no issues about those bases. And what I found, at least when you talk about international law and international politics, you can't give way. Because once you give way, parang touch move yan, di ba? I mean, Ambassador, right? Once you give way and they come in, it's hard to take it back, right? Yeah. So for me, that's the biggest problem. That shift to China and being unclear about our position in that area has gotten us to this point where we had to pivot to America. And that pivot to America does have pros and cons also. It does have disadvantages also because talk about America, they like to bring in their warships. That's the only way they know how to operate, and we're now at this situation, So, so yes, it is a change in policy. When people say, so they say, Keith, mga politiko pare-pareho lang yan. Politicians, they're all the same. In some cases, they're not. Because some policy shifts really do mean big changes, and that was a big change. At least my position during that time was clear about we should have upheld our case. We won the case after all. Should have been clearer with them about our dissatisfaction with what was happening.
Okay, thank you, Senator Bam. And maybe last question, VP Emily.
Good afternoon, Senator Bam. Emily Alvarez from Rotary Homes. Just going back to the last election, maybe you did not make it because you did not join the showbiz. So anyway, now I formed already a Bam Aquino Fans Club, and and here are some of my members. But anyway, kidding aside, Senator, you mentioned about us opening businesses so that we can accommodate the newly graduates. But in reality, because on the business side, maybe because some of the politicians would like to make a poggy points that they increase the salary by 100 pesos per day, which really affected the business community. Because if you're only an SME, that would really affect you, the 100 pesos. It's either you close your business because you cannot afford the increase, or you pass on the increase to the consumers. So what's happening now, the newly graduate would compete for those who are unemployed. Now, my question is, given the chance that you'll make it at Senate, what would be the measures that you would like to make or make a bill or something to address this imbalance in the society? Thank you.
Thank you po. Yes. So, first of all po, yung SMEs are exempted from the minimum wage law. You just need to get certification at the Go Negosyo Center in every LGU. They have a difficult time giving it, but it's there because batas ko rin po yung exemption na yun. They don't provide it as easily as they should, but it is in the law. That was passed in 2014, where SMEs are exempted from minimum wage law. So hindi lang po siya implemented, but the provision is there. So naiintindihan ko po. I'm with Go Negosyo, so I understand where the SMEs are coming from. But on the other hand, naiintindihan ko rin where our workers are coming from. And the truth is, yung mga SMEs natin, maybe not in your case or maybe in your case, pero every step of the way kasi may dagdag kang binabayaran eh. Ang hirap magdagdag ng sweldo para sa mga workers mo kasi every step of the way, hinihingan ka eh. Sa totoo lang, di ba? You wanna pay the right taxes, hinihingan ka ng yung assessment mo, napakalayo. Kukuha ka ng permit, hihingan ka. Kuha ka ng fire permit, bibentahan ka ng fire extinguisher. That's the common situation of most Filipinos, no? Opo. So, I mean, one of my staff was able to finally pay for an apartment only to find out si assessor babayaran, si Bureau of Fire babayaran, lahat. And nung kino-compute niya, easily 10 to 15% more than the actual cost yung kailangan niyang ilabas. So kung ganyan po yung experience ng mga SMEs natin, ang hirap silang sabihin na o dagdagan mo to, di ba? That's why I think I agree SME should be exempt because it's very hard. But if you go back to it, if we're able to lower that, if we're able to make things less, yung parang every step of the way, hinuhugutan ka, hinuhut-hutan ka, di ba? Then maybe it will be easier for us to also share what we have. I know it seems so far, but ako po, we've seen so many changes. Every term has so many changes. Why can't we aspire for good changes, di ba? So kaya yan, no? Kaya yan. And hindi ho fair to ask small businesses to put out too much, but there is an exemption, and I think we just need to be able to push that na exempted po kayo dyan. But ako kasi, it's already passed in the Senate, itong 100 pesos na legislated wage hike. It's not yet passed in Congress. I've come out in public saying na I'm supporting it only because ang layo na ngayon ng kailangan i-hurdle ng mga manggagawa natin. But I can totally understand how businesses feel. How can you ask me to pay more when I'm paying so much to so many different groups already? No. So maybe kailangan po siyang i-address at the same time. 'Di ba? We make up for one para the other. We help one hand para the other hand has more to provide to our countrymen.
Thank you again, Senator Bam. And I guess that closes our open forum. Thank you for this afternoon's gracing our afternoon's lunch. And maybe we'll ask President Bing for his remarks.
Senator Bam, thank you very much again for your very candid reactions to our questions, which I know are kind of sensitive, no? But in your opening remarks, I couldn't help but sort of feel, no, a lot of the things that you said actually resonate with us, with the club. To give you some quick reactions that you may not be aware of. For example, if you talk about employment, people go on a track on going to college, they're not necessarily fit for college, as we know that. And there's this vocational service, and I think there's a law on trying to promote the duality of education. Our club actually is quite involved with supporting Dual Tech. I don't know if you've heard of that organization. It was modeled after a German organization where we cover the scholarship requirements, selected students who go through on schooling for 6 months and then linked up with partners. They're on the job for another 12 or 18 months. Then they go back. So there's a ready job if they do well. No? In terms of the SMEs, actually I'm quite involved also in a government agency. I'm a director, independent director of the Philippine Guarantee, which of course, among others, we provide support to lending entities like the table over there, we have the president there, Alice Cordero, TSBI, which is their microfinance. They're one of the largest microfinance institution in the country. And they provide actually loans to MSMEs, and we are one of those who have supported them, and we're now talking about helping them. Actually, the key issue, I think, for MSMEs is funding, financing. And through Philippine Guarantee, which provides guarantees, it actually reduces the credit risk. And through institutions like MFI to help it execute, things will happen. There's so many things actually that you mentioned. Actually, small things we're actually doing already. You mentioned, I think that VP we said that we're one of the Masagana. So what a club, which is true actually, we've been fortunate, one of the very few clubs fortunate to have received on our laps resources that we can actually allocate, and that's why we do a lot of projects. And I guess, but we're just a small pebble in the whole sand of needs of the country, so it can be overwhelming. And so all I can say is that I hope you do make it, and that I hope that you will be a voice that could really lead the way. And I guess the challenge there to be able to overcome the actors, the actresses, the comedians who get into our Senate, no? And so maybe with the help of our Rotarians here, and although we're not supposed to be political, I'm not suggesting that we become political, but in our own individual capacities, we're able to help get people like yourselves and others like-minded elected. Anyway, what I'd like to do is now give you, Senator, a plaque. Remember we talked about these reef buds? You see this black hole there? That is where we put things like this. And we'll be putting your name there, and it will be there as long as that reef bud is going to be alive. So thank you so much again, Senator. And then we also would like to share with you first this book. Before you partake of that wine, we have this book for 55 years, although we're going 58 years already. And I think one of the governors was saying maybe you can do another coffee book like this, no? To be able to, maybe on the 60th year, when that's going to be your year, Eddie, right? 60? Yan, panahon ni Kuya Eddie. And then to enjoy that, there's his wine. All right? And then, well, we look forward to hopefully you finding time to consider joining a Rotary Club. You did say earlier you want to join a Rotary Club, right? Thank you so much. Salamat. Let's give him another big hand. Okay. Should we adjourn first before we take the photo, or? Okay. What did she study? What did you study? Okay.
Okay, can we now call on our president to adjourn the meeting?
Okay, on behalf of all members of the Rotary Club Makati, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, doon sa Rotary Club members, meron tayong raffle ulit. Dowel kettle para meron kayong pang-uwi sa inyong Okay, raffle.
You did. We should do a new one for the 60th.
Raffle on your screen.
Oh, raffle. Who won?
Presence required.
Sunny.
PP Sunny. Already left.
Not here.
Presence required. Si Kuya Eddie.
Eddie, you going to Zamboanga?
O, raffle ulit. P.E. Keith.
You won.
Congratulations.
Okay. I think that you're second or third. No, I want such a big price.
See? That's why we say we're not good in cost, but good in raffle.